Emerald City of Oz. Aunt Em. "These are your rooms," said Dorothy, opening a door. Aunt Em drew back at the sight of the splendid furniture and draperies. "Where do I wipe my feet?" Aunt Em asked. "You will soon change your slippers for new shoes," replied Dorothy. "Don't be afraid, Aunt Em. This is where you are to live, so walk right in and make yourself at home." Aunt Em advanced, hesitatingly. "This is better than the Holiday Inn," she cried, admiringly. "But this place is too good for us. Can't we have some back room in the attic? That's more our class." "No," said Dorothy. "You have to live here. Ozma wants you too, and all the rooms in this palace are just alike. Some are better. It won't do you any good to fuss, Aunt Em. You need to live in a grand way. You are in the land of Oz." "It's tough luck," replied Aunt Em, looking around with an odd expression. "But folks can get used to anything if they try. Eh, Henry?" "Well," said Uncle Henry slowly, "I believe in taking what is provided, and I'm not asking any questions." Then, Dorothy showed them through the rooms. The first was a handsome sitting room, with windows opening to the rose gardens. Then came separate bedrooms for Aunt Em and Uncle Henry, with a fine bathroom between them. Aunt Em had a pretty dressing room. Dorothy opened the closets and showed several exquisite costumes that had been provided for her aunt by the royal dressmakers, who had worked all night to get them ready. Everything Aunt Em could possibly need was in the drawers and closets. Her dressing table was covered with gold-plated toiletries. Uncle Henry had 9 suits of clothes, cut in the popular fashion, with knee breeches, silk stockings, and low shoes with jeweled buckles. The hats to match these costumes had pointed tops and wide brims, with small gold bells around the edges. His shirts were of fine linen, and his vests were richly embroidered with colored silks. Uncle Henry decided that he would first take a bath and then dress himself in a blue satin suit that he liked very much. He accepted his good fortune with calm composure and refused to have a servant assist him. But Aunt Em was flustered and uncomfortable, and it took Dorothy and Jelliet Jam, the housekeeper, and 2 maids a long time to dress her and do up her hair. She wanted to stop and admire everything that caught her eye, and she sighed continually and declared that such finery was too good for an old countrywoman. Finally she was dressed, and when they went into the sitting room, there was Uncle Henry in his blue satin suit, walking tall back and forth across the room. He had trimmed his beard and mustache, and looked very dignified and respectable. "Dorothy," he said, "do all the men here wear clothes like these?" "Yes," she replied. "All except Scarecrow and Shaggy Man, and of course the Tin Woodman and Tik-Tok, who are made of metal. You'll find all the men at Ozma's court dressed just as you are, maybe even a little nicer." "Henry, you look like a play actor," announced Aunt Em, looking at her husband critically. "And you, Em, look like a peacock," he replied. "I guess you're right," she said regretfully. "We're helpless victims of high royalty in a fairyland." Dorothy laughed out loud. "Come with me," she said, "and I'll show you around the palace." She took them through the beautiful rooms and introduced them to all the people. Also, she showed them her own pretty rooms, which were not far from their own. "So it's all true," said Aunt Em, with wide-eyed amazement. "What Dorothy told us of this fairy country were plain facts instead of dreams. But where are all the strange creatures you talked about?" "Yes, where is that Scarecrow friend of yours?" asked Uncle Henry. "Oh, he's away on a visit to the Tin Woodman, who is the Emperor of Winkie Country," answered Dorothy. "You'll see him when he comes back. I'm sure you'll like him." "And where's the wonderful wizard?" asked Aunt Em. "You'll see him at Ozma's luncheon. He lives here in the palace, too." And Jack Pumpkinhead? Oh, he lives a little way out of town, in his own pumpkin field. We'll go soon there sometime and see him. And we'll visit Professor Wogglebug, too. The Shaggy Man will be at the luncheon, and Tick-Tock. And now, I'll take you out to see Billina, who has a house of her own. So they went into the backyard and walked along the winding paths through the beautiful gardens. They came to an attractive little house where the yellow hen sat on the front porch, sunning herself. "Good morning, my dear mistress," called Billina, fluttering down to meet them. "I was expecting you to visit. I heard you had come back with your aunt and uncle." "We're here for good this time, Billina," cried Dorothy, happily. "Uncle Henry and Aunt Em belong in Oz now just as much as I do." "Then they are very lucky people," declared Billina. "There could not be a nicer place to live. Now, I must introduce you to all my Dorothys. 9 are living, and have grown up to be very respectable hens, and the other 2 turned out to be roosters. I had to change their names from Dorothy to Douglas." "Did you call both the roosters Douglas?" asked Uncle Henry. "Yes, indeed. I have 9 Dorothys and 2 Douglases. The 9 Dorothys have 86 sons and daughters and over 300 grandchildren," said Billina proudly. "What names did you give them all?" asked Dorothy. "Oh, they are all named Dorothy and Douglas. Dorothy and Douglas are good names, and I see no point in naming them something else," declared the yellow hen. "But just think, Dorothy, what a big chicken family we've grown to be, and our numbers increase nearly every day. Ozma doesn't know what to do with all the eggs we lay, and we are never eaten or harmed in any way, as chickens are in other countries. They give us everything to make us content and happy, and I, my dear, am the acknowledged queen and governor of every chicken in Oz, because I'm the oldest and started the whole colony." "You ought to be very proud, ma'am," said Uncle Henry, who was astonished to hear a hen talk. "Oh, I am," she replied. "I have the loveliest pearl necklace you have ever seen. Come in the house and I'll show it to you. I also have 9 leg bracelets and a diamond pin for each wing, but I only wear them on special occasions." They followed the yellow hen into the house, which Aunt Em declared was very tidy. They could not sit down because of all Billina's chairs were roosting poles made of silver, so they had to stand while the hen showed them her treasures. Then they had to go into the back rooms occupied by Billina's 9 Dorothys and 2 Douglases, who were all plump yellow chickens and greeted the visitors very politely. It was easy to see they were all well bred, and that Billina had given them a good education. Dorothy wanted to stay and play with the young chickens for a while, but Uncle Henry and Aunt Em had not seen the palace grounds and gardens yet, and were eager to get acquainted with the marvelous and delightful land where they were going to live. "I'll stay here and you can go for a walk," said Dorothy. "You will be perfectly safe anywhere, and you can do whatever you want. When you get tired, go back to the palace and find your rooms, and I'll come to you before lunch is ready." So Uncle Henry and Aunt Em started out alone to explore the grounds. Dorothy knew that they couldn't get lost because all the palace grounds were enclosed by a high wall of green marble set with emeralds. It was a rare treat to these simple folk, who had lived in the country all their lives and known little enjoyment of any sort, to wear beautiful clothes and live in a palace and be treated with respect and consideration by all around them. They were very happy indeed, as they walked along the shady paths and looked at the gorgeous flowers and shrubs, feeling that their new home was more beautiful than could be described. Suddenly, as they turned a corner and walked through a gap in the high hedge, they came face to face with an enormous lion, which crouched on the green lawn and seemed surprised by their appearance. They stopped short, Uncle Henry trembling with horror, and Aunt Em ready to scream. The poor woman grabbed her husband around the neck and cried, "I don't want to die!" And then she stood and looked straight at the lion. "I won't be eaten by a lion," said Aunt Em sternly, glaring at the huge beast. Then a thought struck her. She remembered that beasts can be conquered by the human eye. She decided to stare the lion down. "Do it, Em," Henry whispered. Look at him like you do when I'm late for dinner." Aunt Em turned on the lion with wide staring eyes. She glared at the immense beast steadily, and the lion, who had been quietly blinking at them, began to appear uneasy and disturbed. "Is something wrong, ma'am?" he asked, in a mild voice. At this speech from the terrible beast, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry both were startled. And then Uncle Henry remembered that this must be the lion they had seen in Ozma's throne room. "Hold on, Em," he exclaimed. "This must be the same cowardly lion Dorothy told us about." "Oh, is it?" she asked, much relieved. Then he spoke. "When he spoke, I got the idea. And then, when he looked ashamed like that, I'm pretty sure of it," Uncle Henry continued. Aunt Em regarded the animal with new interest. "Are you the cowardly lion?" she asked. "Are you Dorothy's friend?" "Yes, I am," answered the lion, shyly. "Dorothy and I are old friends. I'm the king of the beasts. The Hungry Tiger and I serve Princess Ozma as bodyguards." "Were you scared when I looked at you just now?" asked Aunt Em. "Terribly scared," answered the lion. "At first, I thought you were going to have a fit. Then, I noticed you were trying to overcome me by the power of your eye, and your glance was so fierce and penetrating that I shook with fear." This greatly pleased the lady, and she said quite cheerfully, "Well, I won't hurt you, so don't be scared any more. I just wanted to see what you were made of." "The human eye is a fearful weapon," remarked the lion, scratching his nose softly with his paw to hide a smile. "Had I known you were Dorothy's friends, I might have torn you both into shreds, in order to escape your terrible gaze." Aunt Em shuddered at hearing this, and Uncle Henry said hastily, "I'm glad you knew us. Good morning, Mr. Lion. We hope to see you again soon in the future." "Good day," replied the lion, sitting down on the lawn again. "You are likely to see a good deal of me if you live in the land of Oz."